The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises and asks, does he stand by the Prime Minister's statement regarding asset sales that, quote, "we are not going to do anything tricky here," unquote?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr Speaker, yes, I agree with the Prime Minister's statement. This government campaigned up front on the policy of mixed ownership model, which includes the pledge that the government will maintain majority ownership of these companies. This promise stands despite the unlikely theoretical scenarios some members opposite keep raising.
The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
To the Minister, why then does the mixed ownership model bill specifically allow him to, quote, "do something tricky" and sell off the vast majority of the affected companies through the issue of non-voting shares?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Well, first of all, Mr Speaker, there's nothing tricky in any of this because there's a bill and the government's been completely upfront about it. The fact is, the member is creating what I think can only be described as an uncommercial fantasy with respect to the issue of these shares. It may theoretically, technically be possible, if you were looking at a textbook, that that could happen. But we've looked back at the New Zealand Stock Exchange and not one company has issued shares in the form that that member is suggesting.
The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
To the Minister, if the Minister truly does intend to retain 51% ownership of the equity and company dividends, why is there no written guarantee in the bill which instead allows him to dilute the Crown's equity and dividends rights to essentially zero through non-voting shares and other loopholes? And if he believes it's a technicality, why doesn't he rule it out and amend the bill?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr Speaker, because it's simply not necessary for that to happen. The fact is we've done quite a lot of research which shows there's no company on the New Zealand Stock Exchange that has issued shares in that format. We do believe that these companies will provide real benefits for New Zealand as part of the mixed ownership model, as part of helping us deal with debt in this country.
The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
To the Minister, given that the bill does not require the Crown to retain 51% of shareholding but only 51% of voting rights, does it meet the promise made in the agreement with United Future, which calls for the government to, quote, "introduce statutory limits on the sale of public assets to no more than 49% of shareholding," unquote?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr Speaker, it's completely consistent. What New Zealanders want to know is that this government will maintain 51% of the control of these companies. And that is what is in the legislation, and that is what will be in the companies' constitutions. In the next 3 years, debt in this country is going to grow from $50 billion today to $72 billion. It is imperative that this country take action to control its debt.
Question number 7, Dr. Jian Yang.